completely forgot.
It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
I call him Scott.
Go.
She originally hails from St. Olaf, Minnesota, where she was voted the girl most likely to get stuck in a tuba. Welcome, Rose Nyland.
I got a feeling you're a wild woman. Oh, you bet I am. I eat raw cookie dough. Rose, what was your first impression of me? I thought you wore too much makeup and were a slut. I was wrong. You don't wear too much makeup.
You are an Earth Mother. Sweet, compassionate, but bubbling with sensuality just below the surface.
Oh, that's a relief. All this time I thought it was gas. I don't understand how a thermos keeps things both hot and cold. I had an imaginary friend, but he'd never tell me his name. It's like life is a giant weenie roast, and I'm the biggest weenie.
Oh my God, we just won $10,000.
$10,000? Oh, I don't believe it. $10,000? Split 4 ways, that's almost $2,000 apiece. Almost. Hi, Ruth. Hi. What's the matter, honey? Is something wrong? I'm concerned about nuclear war.
We now conclude our broadcast day with the Blue Angel Squadron, accompanied by our national anthem.
But the only thing we have in common is under the sheets.
What's under the sheets?
Didn't I tell you I used to work in a malt shop when I was in high school?
Soda jerk? No thanks, I'll have a malted.
I wasn't alone. Stan came by and stayed with me, brought me food, held me, showed me that special part of himself.
Right there in the waiting room? The only doctor I ever liked was Dr. Clyde, our vet. He was wonderful. My mother wanted him to do her hysterectomy, but he wouldn't. All right, I'll do it. And not just for the kids. I just feel it's time I gave something back to the chicken community. After all, a chicken once saved my life. Besides, what does Spock know about raising babies? On Vulcan, all the kids are born in pods.
Rose, I know this is a long shot, but did you take much acid during the 60s? Don't mention this to anybody. It's the kind of thing that most people probably wouldn't understand.
Oh, don't worry, Dorothy. Rose Nyland can keep a secret. Do you know what the name Nyland means in Norwegian?
No.
Well, I'm not telling you. Dorothy will never tell her. Tell her what? The secret? That I don't know? What you girls do? Oh, nothing. We're just sitting talking. Not talking about anything special. The subject of aliens never came up. There you are, Sophia. She outsmarted me, Dorothy.
You're kidding. I mean, how is that possible?
It wasn't my fault. We were backing down the driveway, and Sophia told me I ran over Mrs. Stouffer.
And you believed her?
Well, I had to check. Last week, I did pin her and her walker to the fence on a wide right turn.
Rose, honey, are you all right?
I was booked. Fingerprints, mugshots. I'm a known criminal. I'll never be able to go back to my hometown again.
Oh, honey, nobody back home's ever gonna find out about this.
Oh, yes, they will. The St. Olaf Courier-Dispatch is known for its investigative reporting. Once upon a time in the magical land of Flafluvenhaven.
Are you about to educate us on the evils of wasting time by telling a long, tedious St. Olaf story?
Do you know a better way? You know, back in St. Olaf, I ran for president of the Bull Castration Club. There is no sound sound in this world sweeter than a bull's moo as it climbs an octave?
Did you win?
No, lost by a hair. I never told you a story about an exploding pig, Dorothy. It was a peg-legged pig. Our possum was the one that exploded.
He just flew in from Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, Minnesota?
No, Rose, Minneapolis, France.
Oh, I'm from Minnesota.
I'm from Minnesota, too.
Then you just moved to France? Onward, St. Olaf, onward we go. Onward and onward, St. Olaf's go. Go, 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 go.
Rose, that's a... Honey, it's a very catchy tune, but who wrote those lyrics?
I did. And lyrics aren't even my strong point. I just got lucky that one time. My life will be ruined if this ever gets home to St. Olaf.
What'll they do, Rose? Revoke your ice fishing license? Take back your helmet with the horns? I mean, I'm the injured party. Obviously, I'm destined to never see Frank Sinatra face to face.
They're called Longenhölden. It's called Gnurkenflöten cake. It's an ancient recipe, but I Americanized it.
Yeah, so one might say you brought Geflirkenerken into the 80s?
Yes, but I'm not one to blow my own Beethovenflügel. I thought we could all have a game of Oogle and Flugel.
I don't believe I've ever heard of that.
Oh, we used to play it back in St. Olaf. It's an adult version of hide and go seek.
And how does it differ from the children's version?
Adults play it.
Blanche, did you hire the band?
Rose is supposed to do that.
Well, I warn you, we may end up with a Hans-Ger Flugenhaben yodeling quartet.
That's not true. They broke up. But the Sonja von Kugel tuba band is free. As they say in St. Olaf, Helderbargenbark is nothing.
You want to help us out here, Rose?
Well, there's really no English word for geflüffen. Loosely translated, it means, I hope you have a license to carry that geflüffen.
Rose, what do you think of Blanche saying these things?
I think she's a Gerkanenachen.
Well, what exactly does that mean?
Literally, it's the precise moment when Dog Dude turns white. But in general, it refers to the kind of person you don't want to share your Hugenkoggles with.
Rose, if you say one more of those stupid words,
So blow it out, your tubing burbles! George is the only man to ever see me naked.
Get out of here.
Well, except for Charlie, of course.
Get out of here.
And the vet.
The vet?
Our prize hen, Henrietta, had some kind of a chicken disease. I don't exactly know what it was.
Chicken pox.
No, I don't think so. Anyway, I had an earache, so he saw us both at the same time.
For that, you got naked?
I thought that was strange, too. Has anyone ever told you you look exactly like Jerry Vale?
No.
They should. He's the only man in the world that can make the hair on my arms stand up. Can I fix you a drink?
No, thanks. Is something wrong with your leg?
Nothing you can't fix, Dr. Man.
He is the sexiest actor on TV.
I hate to admit it, but he melts my Haagen-Dazs.
I wonder what he looks like.
I just hope he doesn't have hair in his ears. I don't know what you just did, but you'd make one hell of a yodeler.
My, what is that marvelous scent you're wearing?
Fancy albacore tuna.
It's a very nice dress, Rose.
Thank you. I've worn it once before.
But the pantyhose are new. Who wouldn't? He's sensitive, he's caring, and he thinks I'm neater than hard salami.
Did he actually tell you that, Rose?
I shouldn't have repeated it. It was said in a moment of passion.
It's not easy for a man to say, Rose. I'm impotent.
I see. Well, in that case, why don't we see what's playing at the movie?
Girls, you'll never guess what I got in the mail today.
If it's another one of those adult toys in the back of a sleazy magazine, I'm not interested.
Rose, that cake is from the Get It While It's Hot Erotic Bake Shop.
Whoa!
Why, Rose Nyland. Why, that cake is in the shape of...
Blanche, we know what it is.
I thought it was in the shape of Florida.
Oh, Marguerite, I could kiss you.
And I don't go for that freaky stuff.
Neither do Dorothy and I.
Do you think I'm competent at what I do?
Based on the sounds from your bedroom, I'd bet you're damn near spectacular.
You don't even like to talk about sex.
Well, it's been my experience that people who talk about it a lot don't do it very often.
Do you know what I hate doing most after a party?
Trying to find your underwear in the big pile? Oh, we better put out the welcome mat.
We don't have a welcome mat.
What about the one Dorothy says is at the foot of your bed?
That man has such a big mouth. Which reminds me, I want to go give him a call.
Oh, gosh, she's really a character. She's also a cheap slut. Oh, hi, Blanche. You look terrific.
Thanks.
Blanche looks terrible.
Rose, honey, there's something I have to say to you. It's just two little words, but they are the hardest two little words in all the whole world for me to say.
Not tonight.
I don't want a TV crew coming in here, messing up my kitchen, setting up all that video equipment.
Well, how about shooting it in your bedroom, Blanche? The equipment's already set up there. Oh, it takes a big woman to forgive somebody calling her a slut. Besides, you weren't raised in St. Olaf. It's not your fault you're chronic two-faced liars.
I didn't expect to see you girls up so late.
I'm just having a snack. Dorothy's the one having an affair at a motel.
Get rid of him.
I think he's coming down with the flu.
Oh, who cares?
Don't explain, Rose. I used to live with a couple of bitches myself. Well, I can't help it if I'm an honest person. Obviously something you don't know anything about.
What are you talking about?
Well, you bought pantyhose in petite. Everybody can see you couldn't get those past your knees. Okay, so I made one little slip. So I told Harriet Wexler you had your ears pinned back in college.
Oh, Rose, listen, listen. Am I a terrible person?
I don't know. Who are you?
It's me, Blanche.
Oh, Blanche, you're not a terrible person. You're just horny all the time.
You know, Rose, I have to confess, I dabbled a little in poetry writing in high school.
Oh, well, that's nothing to be ashamed of. A lot of tall girls who wouldn't get dates wrote poetry in high school. I've decided I'm going to run for fashion show chairman.
Well, you're just wasting your time. Who on that fashion committee is going to vote for you? I'm going to win.
Well, I don't see how that's possible. Everybody on the committee is female. Who are you going to sleep with?
Oh, hi, Rose. Hey, the ceiling in your room leaking too?
No, Dorothy, I just finished milking the cow I keep in my closet. Gee, with only 3 hours sleep, I can be as bitchy as you. She's a world-renowned flautist.
She plays the flute.
No, Dorothy, she plays the flute. It's a Scandinavian instrument that looks like a tuba, except it's got hair on the bottom. Of course she plays the flute. Do you think Blanche has been picking on me lately?
I haven't noticed.
Hi, Blanche.
Must you always be so cheerful, you empty-headed Mary Poppins knockoff?
Let me know if you notice anything. Now, at times, Blanche can be very understanding and compassionate and forgiving.
Get away from my baby brother, you cradle-snatching, empty-headed, two-faced dummy.
And then at other times, she can be a real bitch. Sophia, what are you doing with that heavy coat on inside the house?
You tell me, Rose.
Dorothy, was Sophia naked just now, or does her dress really need ironing? Yeah, do you think it's easy to be cheerful around you two? You know how many of these stinking hot toddies I have to drink to keep out a happy face?
I can tell. When you're really angry, you purse your little lips so tight they almost disappear.
Dorothy's Bordak. You can go straight to H-E double hockey sticks. Oh, I feel like crawling under the covers and eating Velveeta right out of the box.
Now, Rose, honey, you don't do too well under pressure. No, Rose, remember the time in the coffee shop when you didn't have enough money, so you ran into the ladies' room and tried to climb out through the skylight?
That doesn't happen anymore since I switched to decaf. All I wanted was a tan on my thighs. Now I'll probably end up a prisoner of the revolution. They'll rip my blouse and make me cook for the officers, spit food in my face, and make fun of my recipes. And eventually I'll catch the eye of some fat general with big sweat stains under his arms. I've never learned how to be aggressive.
Honey, it's as easy as riding a bicycle.
I never learned how to ride a bicycle. Now you two boys run along home.
Okay, bye.
Billy?
Yes?
I said run! Move it, you little panty waist on the double! You found my Teddy. Where was he?
You didn't tell her?
Tell me what?
I think the price just went up. I'll get back to you within 48 hours.
What's going on? Where did she take Fernando?
She took him home, Rose.
Rosie, honey, Fernando doesn't exactly belong to you anymore. Well, I kind of gave him to Daisy by mistake.
Get him back. I want my Teddy.
But, honey, she's just a child. You can't expect a child to give back a toy. Now, you do understand, don't you?
Just cut the crap and get back the damn bid. If after all the years of love and companionship, Fernando and I are meant to part company, I'll just have to accept that. Time to time, life deals you an unfriendly hand. There's nothing you can do about it. I guess there's a lesson to be learned here. Sometimes life just isn't fair, kiddo. Someone was actually able to deceive me once. Do tell, Rose. St. Olaf's most famous OBMAG.
What's that?
Obstetrician magician. The amazing Shapiro. He delivered Bridget. But it was so confusing. I mean, it's a girl. Now it's a dove. Now it's a glass of milk. I don't know how he got her in that deck of cards. But there she was, right after the King of Hearts. Is this your baby?
Menopause was wonderful for me. It meant no more PMS.
I never had PMS.
Neither did I. But I had a BMW. Dr. Jerry. Oh, it must be great having just one name. You don't have to worry about people misspelling your last name all the time.
Is your last name difficult to spell?
Yes, but I'm getting better at it. Gee, was my diary doing here? Next to a pair of pliers.
Rose, whatever it is you're thinking, it isn't true.
Good, then George Bush isn't married to his mother. I remember my mother making me practice the tuba 3 hours a day, 7 days a week for 10 years. Oh, I hated it, but it finally paid off.
I didn't know you played the tuba.
Oh, I don't. No, I gave it up. But I can blow 32 pounds of air into a tire in less than a minute. I want you to know Dr. Zhivago is my favorite movie of all time.
I think this is a very good hospital and a perfectly lovely room. Isn't it a lovely room, Rose?
Very lovely. I just keep wondering how many people have never left this room. But I'm really no good at listening to people's problems.
Rose, you're a grief counselor. It's what you do for a living.
I know, but I have the highest suicide rate in the office. Grasp the valve tightly with your hand.
Okay.
Turn it clockwise until scum gathers on your elbow joint. Oh, Sophia, that smells heavenly. Is it Chef Boyardee? I'm a very patient person. I once waited 2 whole weeks for a sty to go away. Every night I'd close my eyes and I'd picture it getting smaller and smaller. And one morning I woke up and it was gone. You know, it's still pretty windy out there. I'm gonna go outside and see if I can get airborne. Maybe I better talk to Nurse Defarge. I think I could handle it with a little more tact.
Ah, good morning, ladies.
Not for you, nursey, nurse. Dorothy, would you like to stay up all night with Blanche and me and watch I Like Lucy?
I love Lucy.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know how I feel about it.
Steve called and canceled your date, didn't he?
Yes. How did you know that, Dorothy?
I'm clairvoyant, Rose.
You're so lucky. I get into a pool, I sink like a stone.
Rose, honey, let's show Margaret how you make the hose dance around when you turn it on full blast.
You said I couldn't do that anymore.
Today's a special day.
I need somebody to bowl with. Please. Just say yes and nobody will get hurt.
Oh. All right.
Unless we don't win.
Nice pants, Rose.
They're called vacuum slacks. It's supposed to inhale all the fat from your body. Watch. I must have done it wrong. Maybe I ought to put it on suck. If you hold a bird gently, the bird will stay. But if you squeeze the bird, his eyes will bug out. And Mr. Pet Shop owner gets very huffy and he won't let you touch the birds anymore. And the mice, he won't even let you in the room with the mice.
What is 8 times 6? Okay, now that we have a few minutes. Oh, for heaven's sake, go on.
No, Dave, I better do this by myself. You might get hurt. 3, 4. say what I feel.
Miami has so much appeal.
A great place to get a seafood meal.
Happy birthday! Oh, thanks so much, sweetheart.
An even happier birthday for me.
Miami, Miami, you've got style. Blue sky, sunshine, white sand by the mile. When you live in this town, each day is sublime. The coldest of winters are warm and divine. Miami, Miami, you've got style. Blue sky, sunshine, white sand by the mile. There's ball clubs and nightclubs, all within reach. Dance the samba till morning, then lie on the beach. Each view is a postcard, each day a great time. The cream of the crop, it's the top of the